This is the Coffee Playdate Podcast, and I am Dr. Olga Dengar, hospitalist, mom of 3 under 6, and a life coach for women physicians and professionals. On this podcast, I spotlight entrepreneurs and doctorpreneurs who are doing incredible things beyond traditional medicine. You'll hear the real-life stories behind their mindset shifts, the challenges they've overcome, and the practical advice that they share to support aspiring entrepreneurs on their own paths. Welcome to the Coffee Playdate Podcast. I have a very special guest with me today, Dr. Christina Kang. Welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. I'm excited for you to be here, and I wanted to start off by asking, do you drink coffee?
I do. Of course I do.
And how do you like your coffee?
Just a little half and half.
Perfect. I love that. We're going to play our first game. It's a rapid fire questions game. I'm going to ask you to choose between one option or the other based on whatever you like right now. You don't have to give an explanation, just go with your gut instinct. Ready?
Okay.
Clinic days or cath lab days?
Clinic days.
Responding to patient portal messages or responding to old school phone calls?
What's an old school phone call?
It's already old school. How about reading EKGs or echocardiograms?
Echoes.
Nice. Last one, educating patients on a heart-healthy diet or an exercise regimen?
Exercise regimen.
Amazing. Next game is called Take a Sip. This time we both answer, and if our answers match, we take a sip from our coffee cups.
Okay.
First one, local community reach or global virtual reach?
Global virtual reach.
Global virtual reach, me too. Cheers.
Cheers.
Reading fiction or nonfiction novels?
Nonfiction.
Nonfiction, me too. Would you rather have a sweet breakfast or a savory breakfast?
Savory.
Savory, me too.
We're 3 for 3.
Yeah. Last one, would you rather have a vacation retreat or mini staycations at home?
Vacation retreat.
Vacation retreat, me too.
Nice. We have a lot in common.
We do. So Christina, I'd love for you to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what kind of work you do.
Yeah, so I'm a cardiologist, and then maybe about starting 5 years ago, I've evolved as a real estate investor. I ended up also transitioning from traditional medicine, traditional cardiologist to virtual medicine. And then now more recently have just launched a telecardiology company with my partner. And so this started like 5 years into being an attending, like 5 years out of fellowship. I was like in survival mode. I was an attending, and you can probably imagine I had 2 young kids at the time. My husband was a full-time doc. And that's when I felt burnout and just so unfulfilled and really just like day in and day out. It was literally survival. And, things happen for a reason. It just happened to be during that time when I was just like, oh my God, is this my life, with like calls and weekends and baby crying? I fell into this community, same community that you and I are probably a part of, about meeting all these people, physicians who are doing amazing things outside of medicine. And I felt like relief during that time because I felt guilty, feeling so like unfulfilled with like being a doctor, right? And so when I saw that people were doing like all these things, incredible things, I literally spiraled into this whole like soul searching, like just reflection on my life. Like, what should I do? Like reading books about life and purpose, and then just like leaning into the community and just talking to so many different physicians who are doing other things. And so at that point, got into real estate, started real estate investing. And then when I took on this new identity as a real estate investor, it just opened up my mind. Like, it wasn't about just real estate. It wasn't about money. It was literally just about having options, right? Outside of just like the hospital. So that's when I transitioned to telemedicine. So I left my job, which was a whole identity crisis, by the way, but left my job, transitioned to telemedicine. And then one day, my friend and cardiologist, Vikas, was like, why don't we just start our own thing? And having been able to take on the new identities of not being a traditional cardiologist, doing telemedicine, doing real estate, I was like, heck yeah, why not? And so CardioVerse MD was born. And so we have a telecardiology company that we just launched, basically removing, some of the access and the barrier issues. And so here we are. So I'm an entrepreneur as well now.
Yes. And you wear so many different hats. I mean, going from real estate to the virtual cardiology business, they're are so many opportunities for physicians. Do you think that physicians should always look for ways to have multiple sources of income?
Yeah, 100%. My biggest thing is, yes, I do think it is important just for financial security, for, your legacy, for your future. I do believe that, yes, you should have definitely different sources. But more importantly, for anyone who, because a lot of us had this feeling, obviously you did, I did, this curiosity of like, what else is out there? What could I do? My biggest thing is make sure you act on it, explore that, and don't overthink it, but you have the ability to explore all of these options. Being a physician, I will never regret, right? Maybe I'm doing non-traditional things, but it's been an asset that has led me to amazing people and amazing opportunities.
Yeah. And how did you transition from the traditional medicine to putting on this entrepreneur hat? Were there any mindset tools that you could use to help you transition there?
My identity was being a cardiologist, right? It was like mom, spouse, cardiologist. And I remember when I was just so unfulfilled, like I got coaching. I love being coached. I read a lot of books. The biggest thing that I learned was I was just so in this mindset of what else could I possibly be or what else could I possibly do? Because I spent all this time, effort, and money into being a cardiologist and I should be happy with it. Like that was all my limiting beliefs. But the biggest thing was, again, with a lot of help and, with coaching that, I have the ability to change my identity. But when you release yourself from that and just have faith, right? And then you realize when you detach yourself from like this one identity, there's so many more opportunities that opened up. And that's what happened to me. Like telemedicine was just something that I never would have imagined. Being a real estate investor, being an entrepreneur, starting a company are things that I never would have imagined. So for me, the biggest switch in mindset is just that identity switch and just believing that you can change your identity.
Yeah. It's a long journey and probably a tough one too. It comes with its own challenges. Being an entrepreneur, you're out there on your own. Of course, you have your community, but you got to do a lot of these things by yourself and take risks. So, was there a challenge that you could think of that you faced, and how did you overcome that challenge?
Yeah. By the way, like you said, community, obviously my partner, like all keep you accountable and uplift you through this process. But you know what? It was very simple. I think for me, it was just, I had to just start, So I truly had to embrace like imperfection because like we're so used to like making sure all the pieces are lined up. And I realized like you have to take a step back and remember like, why are you even doing this? Right. And enjoying the process and just not ever like you can't fear failure. And so just embracing it and just getting started was the biggest mindset that I had to get over. And it was hard. I had to keep reminding myself of it, that it doesn't need to be perfect, just do it. And learning to pivot, obviously, when things don't go right.
Yeah. And like you said, leaning on that community, leaning on that support system that you have, your family, your friends. Was there anyone that gave you some criticism along the way, people that looked differently at you while you were stepping out of medicine?
Oh, 100%. I think so. So this is one of those things where when I actually quit and I, gave my notice, it's interesting because people are very supportive. But when I said I was going to quit, all my partners or some of my partners, particularly the male partners, were like, are you sure? Like you're going to go home and be a mom? And I'm like, I was always a mom, actually, And I got that from a lot of people. Like I remember getting a message like on my last day from somebody and they were like, oh, like, congratulations. I heard you're leaving and you're going to be a mom. And, so like that type of, weird things, like little comments about that. And then the biggest thing is I got a lot of comments about, you're probably going to regret this. And then they'll tell me some story about somebody they know who left medicine. And now it's been 20 years and they regret it because their kids are grown and they can't get back into medicine. And so those I think were the biggest things. And I admit even like close friends and family were like, but you're a doctor. You spent so much time and effort into this. Like, why would you leave? You make good money. I was able to deal with it because I literally just hung out with people in the community, like people who are doing weird things, quote unquote weird, right? That's what you have to do. Just hang out with the people that make you better and make you feel better, honestly. and everyone else is it's just noise and chatter.
Yeah, and I'm glad you didn't let that affect you, because sometimes you start having like these second thoughts. You're like, oh, is this
100%.
really the right decision? But I'm glad you followed your heart and you didn't listen to anyone else. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been amazing, honestly, and I never would have imagined this. I still have like people that I know and they remember like it wasn't long ago where I was like, I'm not a business owner. I don't know how to start a business. I'm not going to ever do that. And then, here we are.
And did you read a lot of books about business, or did you take any programs or courses to help you in starting your business?
Yeah, so a lot of books, and I do have to say a lot of it is always like mindset rather than the actual like learning the business, if that makes sense. Because you have to have a solid foundation, a solid mental like mindset foundation. When I happened to come across telemedicine, it did change a lot. I realized it wasn't that I wanted to leave medicine. I love cardiology. It's just that I wanted to practice the way that I wanted to practice, like many of us. And telemedicine actually gave me that opportunity that I can start my own business. And so it became a natural, almost like organic shift. And then just like seeing people in the community doing their own thing and starting their own businesses just is very inspiring and very uplifting. My partner, Vikas, obviously, we are very different, but we each have our strengths that just make this work. And that's been amazing as well.
Is it challenging working with a partner? Like, is this what you've envisioned, is to always have a co-founder, or did you want to do this as a solo entrepreneur?
So it's funny because I've never had a vision to be like an entrepreneur, start this company. Like, and when he brought it up, it was a natural, like, let's do this. And I have partners in real estate as well. And there's always agreements and disagreements, but what strengthens this is you find the people who have the same values and the same mindset as you. When things are hard, you leverage other people's skills and time. And if anything, overall, it's been a very good, a good thing to have partners in my personal experience.
Yeah. No, I love partnerships and collaborations, because you're right. You bring in so many different skills into the business, and you can actually get a lot more creative with how it grows. So
Exactly. Yep.
it's great. I know you've already given a lot of great advice for our listeners, but any other advice you'd give someone who's starting out in a similar space?
Yeah. Obviously, depending on where you're at, if you are, in a situation and you're curious about what's out there, or you're curious about starting a business, whatever that is, the first thing is, well, two things actually. First, just take action, make a decision, like commit to it, right? Like stop thinking about it. Cause I've certainly been there, right? Thinking about all these things that I want to do, or thinking about real estate investing, but you don't take that action. So it's community. You need the people, you need the who in your life, because those are the people that are going to make you better, who are going to push you. That's where you get your ideas from. That's how you grow.
Yeah. And there are a lot of different communities out there,
Yes.
even for physicians. So
For sure.
it's always good to explore, to do your own research. You can even ask AI to
Yes,
point
that's
you.
true. That's true. That's true. Yes. Yes.
And one last question I love to ask my guests is, do you have a book recommendation for our listeners today?
Yes. I've read so many books like during like the time that I was trying to find myself, so to speak. But you know what? One of the top books that stand out in my mind is Miracle Equation by Hal Elrod. And I read that book during the time where I was trying to like, figure out my identity, and, during a time when I had a lot of like fears and limiting beliefs about like, can I be a real estate investor? Can I be an entrepreneur? And so the book itself is basically about, miracles can happen with two things: unwavering faith and extraordinary effort. And basically the miracles are these possibilities. And it was very timely when I read this, because there's two parts in there that really, really stuck out in my mind. And it was, one of them is something along the lines of like, Hal Elrod is not a runner. He hates running, which is, and you're going to be able to, this is why I told you, congratulations on your half marathon. I kind of understand. Hal Elrod hates running, and he decided he's going to run this ultra marathon. And like, when I'm reading this book, by the way, I don't even know what an ultra marathon is. So 52 miles, right? And he was basically saying like, who would I become? Hal Elrod, right? Like who do I have to become, or who am I? Or how can I become that person who can run 52 miles? I've never met that person. Who is that person? What skills, do you need to get? And like, it really just like, it hit me hard because it was one of those things where I was like, wait a minute, like, who is this person, right, inside me that could be a real estate investor, an entrepreneur? And what it wasn't about just the running. It wasn't about the half marathon. It was just, who do you become in that process, right? And like, it's the discipline, it's the grit, and then it's all the hard things. It was so hard waking up and running, right, and training. But I realized like that permeates through the rest of like everything that you do, right? Like that positivity, that growth. And it just like, it seems corny, but that one like little half marathon really does expand out to like everything else that I'm doing. And it gives you that momentum, and it pushes you forward. And each step of the way doing these hard things. And that's what led me to being able to start this business, right? So Miracle Equation, great book.
I love that recommendation. I've actually never read that book and I haven't heard of it. So it's going to be
check it out. Yeah, it's a wonderful book.
Well, thank you so much, Christina, for joining us today. It was such a pleasure having you on our podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hope to have you on a future episode.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks for tuning in to the Coffee Playdate Podcast. This episode is designed to help you stay driven, aligned, build momentum, and take action on your entrepreneurial journey. That's my Dhamma method in motion. If you enjoyed this conversation, hit subscribe and share it with one other person who you think would benefit from it. And when you're ready to live life on your own terms, book a discovery call at coacholgamd.com to see if one-on-one coaching with my Dhamma method is your next move.